of Eastham Water Management Committee for the month of May. It's the 10th of May, 2 p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order. My first comment is that Jane is on vacation this week, so she will not be giving her normal summary of the water events. I'm suggesting that we go to recruiting as the first topic, and Adele has provided a draft of what could be published in the newspaper in terms of advising folks that we're hoping for some new members to join. And I think Adele has come up with a very clear statement, and I'm in her email, which is on the back side of your agendas, is I'm very comfortable with going to Jessica Dill, who is the, I believe, the contact person or chair for the search committee.
No, I said perceives, excuse me, I should have said receives.
And asking her for her experience and okay on this. Now, I have some good news in a way on the subject of recruiting new members. Let's see, Jessica, Wally Adams and I interviewed a person by the name of Jeff Bumby this past, I guess it was last week, who was interested in joining. And so we know that Janet is retiring in June. All right, so if Jeff Bumby comes on board, we would have two positions open, and if Mike decides that he needs to end,
only if elected. I'm told I can't serve here, but we'll have to wait and see how the election goes.
we don't know. All right, yeah, if Mike were to leave, would there be three open positions? If he doesn't leave, there's two. So that might, let's see, we don't know until the 17th of May, do we?
That's probably the
That's
17th. Yes.
So I think it's okay to just come back in June with what Jessica has for information, and then if we decide to.
Whether, even if Mike remains on the committee, we'd be where we are now,
Three
right?
openings.
We-
We'd have two openings, because
Don't we have three open right this
Bumby,
minute?
well, right now we have 7, so we have 2.
Susan Sue.
Oh, that's right, yeah, I forgot,
okay.
pardon me.
So we have 2, and if Janet leaves and this Bumby replaces Janet, we
We
still have 2 openings.
Right.
So.
Let's work on that basis.
So why wait? I mean, my suggestion was simply that if everything is okay with Jessica, she doesn't have any problem, we'd go ahead. I just thought that since she's the chair of the search committee, it would be appropriate, and I realize I have no microphone. Oh, it's these little things?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I hear you
Oh.
very well.
We can hear you, yeah. I
Oh,
can
okay.
come
It's
over.
incredible how well we're coming over the wires.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
My suggestion was just that, since she's the chair of the search committee, I thought it was an appropriate thing to touch base with her before we published it, but I don't see, assuming if it's all right with everybody on the committee agrees, and if she doesn't see a problem, I think we should go ahead.
okay.
I have a motion to accept this as it's written. It looks wonderful and expresses what we need.
I second that.
All right, all those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Yeah.
All right. Fabulous.
So it's 6-0. Adele, I'm comfortable with what you're saying. I will talk to Jessica. If she says yes, then I'll contact Cape Codder and see what they how they can work this.
Okay.
Good. All right. The prawn brochure.
I gave out lots this morning,
All right, so we're,
and I have enough in my house to do the ones that I have on my list from before.
okay.
But when I went to Hopper Real Estate, where I think although I talked to them last year about putting them in the the rental packages, they obviously just put them out on a stand in their waiting
Yeah.
room. But I talked to them, and they are agreeable of putting them in the packages, in which case they need 800 brochures by the end of June. And I do not have that. I will be out after I've given out what we gave out last year, basically.
I think I probably have 500 in that bag.
Yeah.
Well, Charles is the
I-
rest, he's got lots in his
Yeah,
basement.
I've got lots of them. I think I must have maybe at least 3,000
Something
in the
like
Yeah.
house. Okay, I can do that. Take 800 to Hopper.
Oh, Hopper.
Hopper, okay. And,
It's up by the Viking Shores.
yes,
Go towards Wellfleet, it's on the right.
north end of Eastham.
It's a little, I had to do some talking, but that's okay.
Can we save at least 100 or so for when the inauguration of the new library comes? Because there's going to be a lot
I'm
of...
going to take some to
Oh,
the
you are?
library today. I
Over
mean, this
he-
library,
yes.
and then once it reopens, then somebody else will have to take more.
To the
Well,
new-
Because I'm
I've
only-
got this bag, which I think is
Okay,
roughly
good.
500, so.
Because they only have a thing here in the
Yes.
doorway, and I'm going to go and put.
Yeah, I saw there was
I
only
didn't
one left
get
there
here
the other
early
day.
enough.
Okay, good.
So, I mean, on what I have to still do the Council on Aging, the National Natural Resources. Town Hall I've just talked to, and I will bring some, because they haven't got it. Eastern Information isn't open yet. The library I was going to do today. I did Hopper Real Estate. I did Ravis, who are very enthusiastic, but I gave them 100, and they might need somebody visiting them more later.
Who's this?
Ravis.
William Ravis, I don't know how you say it.
Real estate. okay.
Ravis.
That's
It was, yeah.
And then I haven't dealt with the Salt Pond Visitor Centre yet. They only took 25. You suggested the East End Vet. I haven't done that, and actually I don't have enough to do that, so maybe. And then the Recreation Office will need them. And today I put them in the Super Rec were out. I put new ones there, and the new places I put them in the Village Green Deli. That's next to the North East End Post Office. That's not really got a good display. It's just sort of a little thingy sitting outside, and on top of, I think it's a refrigerator or something. So I've given out today 300 so far.
Great, great. Janet, can you, as you end your tour in June, send me a note of the places that may need a refill?
Yes.
And,
I'll write you a thing up of what I did. Okay?
yes, yeah.
Did you just say you don't have enough for the East Ham vet?
I don't think so, because I had forgotten that was written
Well,
down, and I'm not sure that I have enough for the Recreation Office. I can,
Oh, you mean the beach office?
the Beach Office, but I don't know where that is. It's here somewhere, but I'm not.
It's over by the DPW. But you don't get beach stickers. It's over where
Yes,
you
I
get
do.
your... Well, it's where you get your beach stickers.
But
It's
I thought
across
it was
the
a
other
separate,
side.
I thought it was there's a separate office here.
Oh, in here? When I
Yes.
took them to them, I had to take them over there.
Beach sticker.
'Cause I
Not,
had-
it's not in the beach sticker office, but there are different sets of buildings there. A beach place is
Oh,
across, like when you come in, you're in a driveway. Beach stickers are here. The EP people, the building they're operating out is here, and then the beach
Oh, I
office is
didn't know, I
there.
never took,
Yeah. That's where I took them, to the beach office over there.
maybe you could take them to the Beach Office this time too.
Okay,
That would be
well, or unless I save mine for the library, so I was
good.
thinking.
Wonder, she charges tons for the
got- yeah.
library.
Yeah, okay, all right, then I can take them to the beach
Okay,
office.
let me put-
Do you have any idea how much he wants? I guess I'll just take them and see what he says. This is the beach office now for the stickers or for?
Well, no, I was going to take them to the Recreation Office, and the Recreation Office is here, and I don't know where, but I mean,
Well, it's in that small building that is just to the side of the town.
that's where I was,
Yeah, but what do they do?
well, this is where we were talking about, this is the new thing that we talked about the last time.
Right.
And that they were willing to have some in the booths, right?
Well,
No, Charles.
Not in the booths.
No, well, we can talk about that, but no, we don't have to cover that situation. Things have changed, and I'll bring you up to date on that
Oh, okay.
in a minute.
All right.
Well,
I take them
I
to the
don't know
beach
what the
sticker
rest-
place, and I think I have enough for that.
All right.
Okay.
So you're gonna do the beach stickers. So the only, okay, so then I
Well,
don't.
I got a little bit confused, but I think so. If
Okay,
not,
then I
I'll-
don't, we
If not,
don't need to
I'll
go to the
send
beach
you,
office.
then I'll send you an email if I.
Well,
Okay,
oh,
I think
yeah.
what I did, if I can just,
Yeah,
I think to get them in the beach sticker office, I had to take them to the actual, not the beach stick, but the place where you pick up your beach stickers. To get them in there, I had to take them to this office of the
I-
beach people,
but I
which
took-
is across the
I
driveway.
took them into there and they would only put them on the table, because I had already put in the office where I go to pick up my beach sticker in the room,
Yeah,
on the table there, that I,
Yeah, that's all I do.
that's where I left them.
that's what they do with them.
Yeah,
They
but that's
leave
where
them.
I put them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
You see what I'm
the year
saying?
before that, they wanted me to deliver them to the beach
Janet,
office, so.
if you're short,
Mhm.
I can do the recreation office if you
Okay.
just tell me how many.
But
I
before we
don't-
decide, why are we taking them to the recreation
Because I
office?
thought the
Oh,
last time,
because-
again, Charles is gonna
okay.
bring us up to
All
date.
right,
Bring it-
let's decide the recreation office after we find out what the status
Oh,
is.
good, okay.
Okay.
So I talked with,
No laughing.
I believe it's Chris,
No laughing.
Christina, or Chris. It's not clear in my mind.
I'm very
She
tired.
now is the chief of the recreation department for the town. The gentleman who had it before has retired. So I spoke with her and proposed that we in some way enhance our display of having beach stickers at the attendance booth at least the two places where we have an attendant in the summertime for swimming. As it turned out, she said, well, there's a policy against that because there would be so many people who would want to display something there, it would really become unmanageable. So I said, okay, makes sense, you've got a policy, I want to support you on that. So basically, but she's very comfortable with the brochures being in their office, which is next building over here from the town hall, and other similar places. I guess she probably also included the beach sticker office where we have our cashier in the summertime to take care of those sales. So, Adele, at that point, are you comfortable with me just doing?
No, but she's comfortable with having them there, but I guess my question is, having them there for what purpose?
Oh,
Who
well,
goes into the
well, I
recreation
don't know
office?
that, but if we say we had 25, 50 of them there, sitting there,
Well, yeah,
The-
fine, but I wouldn't put a lot of them there, because I can't imagine.
well, I think there may be summertime people who got a question, go there and ask. And so that would be a way of making contact, because
I suspect they're more likely to go upstairs here and ask their questions of the receptionist. But in any case, yeah, if you want to put 25 or 50
We'll be making a
there.
complaint of some kind.
If you want to put 25 or 50 there, that's fine, but I certainly wouldn't put a lot of them there. And maybe, because I just can't imagine that there's,
Activity there.
I don't know, I've only been coming here since, what, the 1970s?
I don't even
Never
know
had
where it is.
occasion to go in the
You don't know
recreation.
where it is.
Okay, good, all right.
So what was it, you
so-
need someone none?
So Charles Harris is going to take 25 to 50 of them to the rec office. He's also going to do 800 to the Hopper Real Estate. he's
And you
also-
should also do the East Ham vet, since I guess you're not going to do it, right?
he's-
I haven't got enough to do the
All
East
right,
End,
so
but
take
Mike-
us to the
Mike
East
can do
End
the East
vet.
End vet.
How much to the vet?
You're the one.
25 would be fine. I mean, people sit there waiting for their pet to go in and have conversations about all types of things, and I'd be happy, and they'd be happy to talk about ponds also.
Or maybe give them 50. And
Yes.
would they be willing to call you when they need
When they
more?
more, sure. I'm over there all too frequently.
I did suggest to, I must
might
have been
notice when
Will
they run
Davis,
out.
that if they ran out, that they call the town hall, who would then direct the need for more brochures, presumably
Okay.
to you, Charles, but I don't know.
You better, so advise the receptionist upstairs.
I'm just, well,
She
I,
gets the incoming phone calls, and
I-
she will not know what to do if she, yeah.
I've just talked to her now whether she had brochures, and she said,
You know what, you might want to write something about that.
Yeah.
well, I
It-
did that for other places.
And the East End vet, as I know it, is on the right-hand side on Route 6 going south.
1/10 of a mile before you hit the rotary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Let's move to, we've got that one. Okay. I got Nauset Marsh, Town Cove, Rock Harbor, wastewater survey update. All right, I don't know anything specifically new on that topic, so, but I assume that GHD has gone ahead with preparing the documents that are required to go in by the Cape Cod Commission as part of the 208 plan. All the towns on the Cape were required to get their reports in by June.
End of June. I think the more correct verb is they are working on them. What Jane told us last time and what has been said at public meetings is they expect to turn over their materials to us on the 30th of June.
Oh, okay.
So I am certain we don't have anything yet. And,
2, 6. Oh, okay, all right. I have a little note on that I was just going to also relay to you because it's sort of a related subject. Patty Daly, who is the deputy for Cape Cod Commission, spoke on the 20th of April down at the Orleans Water Quality Advisory Panel. And she said the Cape Cod Commission expects, or anticipates that each town will send in their information. You know, it'll actually be the responsibility of the Cape Cod Commission to see that the information fits together when a watershed, in fact, is in two towns. They don't expect the information to come in already integrated between two towns, that they'll just take what the towns send in. Yeah, I was wondering about that. So, in other words, it appears that GHD would not have any duties at this point to have coordinated information with Orleans, but they're just, you know, knowledgeable that New Orleans is working away on their submission. Let's see. Now, there will be some, she says there will be some towns with pretty well-developed ideas, like Orleans that already has a consensus document and it has in it the traditional technologies as well as the non-traditional technologies. In other words, the sewer and the aquaculture pieces. But if they don't, basically the towns are just kind of expected to send in what they call bookends. In other words, their estimate of if they took care of the whole situation by sewer or if they took care of possibly the whole situation by the non-traditional techniques. So that's basically what...
it's 3 things they have to send in. I don't know if that's what she said, but if so, she said something different than what she said here on January 20th and also different from what's in the 208 plan. You need traditional, non-traditional, and then hybrid.
And hybrid.
Which is a combination. And so there are 3 of these bookends that have to be submitted.
Yeah, let me add a little bit more to that. But at this meeting, I think she said for those who haven't come up with a hybrid yet, then the minimum requirement is that they would send both ends. So, okay, so that's on that one.
Here to do it.
Let me see. We got 4. Okay, Adele, you have the concept of doing something better with presenting the water pond quality data, and so I put on the back of the other handout what you sent me in an email. And so it's Minister's Pond, and it's for 2 years, and it's temperature and dissolved oxygen and Secchi dish.
I didn't do this, so I don't know. I didn't send this to you. These are the sorts of things we've been getting I don't know where we got this one. No, this is not what I was talking about. What I was talking about is that this is all we're getting. And to me, not being a scientist, not being a limnologist, however they say it, these are lovely numbers, and I can track, there's a difference between this number and that number and this number and that number, but it doesn't tell me very much about what this means about the state of Minister's Pond, as opposed to, you know, what it was 4 years before this. And I think it is sort of a tremendous waste that all of this sampling is going on. The samples themselves are taken and run through whatever sort of machines they do to come up with these numbers. And then here we are with a lot of numbers, and that's all it's taken. That's all that's done with them. And I think that it's important, just as Liz did the trend thing for Salt Pond, it's important if we really want to keep, and it's not just us, all the other Cape towns that are doing this, if they really want to keep on top of the pond situation, that there should be some analysis. And maybe if you don't do the analysis every year, you do some trend analysis over time of different ponds. Apparently no one is doing this. I've spoken to Sandy, but Sandy, by the way, does have all of the pond sampling reports, so that question is answered. But no one is doing any analyses of these things other than just this, which to me is not an analysis. What I mean is a figuring out what it means, that sort of thing. And I'm thinking that it might be profitable to approach the Cape Cod Commission. Maybe we have to wait until after June, because I suspect they're going to be all tied up in knots, because when they get the stuff from the towns, they then have to turn it around and turn out a summary of it, which they will be providing, I guess, to DEP and EPA and possibly the court. I'm not certain. I haven't gone back and looked at that settlement stuff in a long time. So I imagine that they're going to be going, you know, full steam ahead. But during that final 2 days of meetings on the 208 plan, when they had those various workshops, they had one workshop that I went to, or breakout sessions, whatever they called them, that dealt with ponds. And I forget even how they sort of got into that. But one of the things they did say is that the commission was going to be turning its attention to ponds and how to deal with the water issues in the ponds. I also found, and I was just trying to find it on my computer, things have been a little hectic lately, but I did find I guess a 2009 Cape Cod Commission report on water quality issues. And the second one talked about ponds, and it ended up with some sort of statement about the need to get some more analysis and some more understanding of what's happening with the ponds. So I think it would be worthwhile to contact them, as I said, after the end of June, when hopefully things quiet down, and ask them what, if any, plans they have for this, and the possibility they're doing it, or at least taking financial responsibility for getting it done. When I spoke to Sandy, she pointed out that I guess I should have written down the name of what this expertise is. It starts with LIM. I can't remember how.
I think there's limnologist.
Limnology, okay.
Yeah, it's
That they are the people who do it. They're not in huge supply, and of course they are professionals, and they expect to get paid for what they do. So, but since this is a common issue with so many towns on the Cape, I think that it's at least worthwhile talking to the Cape Cod Commission about it and seeing if they are in any way willing to take this on or promote analysis of this data. They talk in their materials about the PALS program, like this is a big step forward. And it is a big step forward, but collecting data, to me, has never been a very useful enterprise if all you do is collect the data and don't do anything with it. And that seems to be what we're doing.
But you collect it for all time, so it is useful that you have it. You can analyze
Yeah,
it
but
after the
for me,
effect.
in the here and now.
I mean, truly, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not anything like that, but you look at this is pretty easy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is probably what I sent to you, Charles, because
Oh.
I had from Sandy, I really wanted to know water temperatures, and so she sent me just the example for 2 years of the spreadsheets, and I mean, the spreadsheets were really, I didn't, but I mean, I could figure out how I would look at them. But
Subjective-
I have weird
No,
skill set
Janet,
in-
I agree with you. You could say this
but
This
I-
line is better or that line is
No,
worse,
but
if you
you-
know first what you
you-
want for dissolved oxygen.
Well, if you know what you want, I wouldn't know
But,
how.
well, that-
But once you've got all the years, you write a little doohickey or you make it.
Yeah, but you don't, that's
But it
fine,
hasn't
but all
been done.
you've got is a trend, but you don't know, I mean, is the trend saying, okay, now we're at the point where we have to act?
Well,
Or is the
that's-
trend,
Has to come from somebody who
yeah,
knows that kind of thing.
that's what I'm saying, and to me, to collect this stuff ad infinitum, and to have it analyzed without somebody looking at
There'll be a
it
paper that tells you that.
with a view to that.
This data clearly supports the fact that any of us go to Minister's Pond and see that it's deteriorating. This data, every bit of it, every
Yeah,
line
but how-
points to that. How much is the deterioration
Yeah.
percentage-wise? I guess you could create an evaluation based on data, but it just clearly supports your visual observation that Ministers is degrading.
Yeah, but that's not what'll get us
But I
to.
guess they could put a summary line there to say that.
You mean going across this way?
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Oh,
But there's some
You can't
natural.
see the,
there's
you
some
can't see the
natural
bottom
progression in
anymore.
that.
Every time we drop the Secchi dish, it's disappearing quicker and quicker.
So all we're doing is we're sitting around saying, yes, we can see it's getting worse, and you're saying there's some natural progression in that. But all I know is we paid $65,000 to some group to look at the data on 11 ponds and to do some additional studies on their own, and then to come up with the conclusion as to where they were, how bad, how highly impaired they were. Was it a severe impairment? Was it moderate? Was it low level?
It was
What
published
was
in the
their
pond
report?
brochure.
And from all of this, we drew conclusions about what ponds we should treat first, and also how we should treat them. Which I guess now is also a question for shallow ponds, because I think we all operated on the assumption, because that's what we were told, that you don't use alum in shallow ponds. Well, lo and behold, when we went through that whole thing about Minister Schoolhouse, we find this report of 7 shallow ponds where they successfully used alums because macrophytes were not the problem. It was something else. So, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of knowledge that we would have, information we would have to have in order to make a judgment about whether or not to recommend treatment of another pond and what kind of treatment. And I can't get that out of this, so I don't feel that I can, there's much I can do, except to say, gee, it's getting worse, but how much worse, and what's the way to go? I can't even begin to think about that, and it just seems to me that we're not the only town in this situation, unless there are some towns who are lucky enough to have these limnologists sitting around waiting to do data analysis for them. No, I just think it's worth approaching the Cape Cod Commission and saying, let's do something with this.
All right, how do we do that? I mean,
Well, I think we
is-
could write a letter, but as I said, I wouldn't bother now, seeing what they're up against between now and 30th of June. But I'm willing to draft something. I'll go back and find that material that I got out of their report and draft something, and I guess we can look at it again in June, and maybe, make some sort of a statement about the importance of this in terms of keeping on top of the pond situation, knowing what it is, when is the time to act, how best to act, that sort of thing.
Sounds good to me. I would think that if Adele drafts a letter and we put it on June's agenda, I can kind of see 2 ways. I mean, I could see if Adele did it as a citizen, she could say, well, and I have discussed this with the Water Management Committee. Alternatively, we could go to the Board of Selectmen and say, can you help us here But basically, we have an interest in looking deeper into the data, and we're wondering if you have some program that would go in that direction. So,
Board of Selectmen?
well, a letter coming from the Board of...
Why could we not send a letter from this committee?
Adele, we could. I don't have good knowledge of what is...
Conservation Commission certainly
Letters all the time,
feels
yeah.
free to send.
So letters to anybody, everybody.
Well, how's the table feel about that? I mean,
I feel if we draft a letter, we're certainly within our
We-
charter, and that we could send that letter.
we could send that, okay.
to
Well, in fact, our
Commission.
charter talks about research, collecting information,
Right.
and,
So I'd be comfortable
Well,
with that.
yeah.
I'd also like to, the other thing I raised at that pond thing, and I suspect nothing's been done, is I said all the towns have a crying need for information about what other towns have done. What types of treatments have they used?
Yes.
What have the results been? You can't find that anyplace. You gotta go poking around, you're asking people, do you know anything that happened in your town? This is not a good way to operate.
Yeah.
So,
And Adele, and I do recall from the 208 meetings that I went to, that what you just raised was an issue. Towns have data from different places, but there's not a county level knowledge of who has what. And so, yes, I think that would really fit in that. So, do it, look at the draft in June?
yeah.
Everybody okay? We don't have to vote on
I
that.
haven't even looked at the date in June.
The,
June 14th. So you don't think you're going to be back June
It's about 50/50.
14th? I don't mind moving the date more forward in June, but after that date, June would be tough to change the date.
Yeah.
Will we have a
Well,
quorum will Sue be here at that point? Does her job responsibilities allow her to attend?
I don't know.
Okay.
But, so,
Without Scott, will we still have enough?
Yeah, I think there is, I don't know if I remember correctly, but I think I read something, town policies or something about if you miss 3 meetings, or maybe that was something else I read. I guess I better go back and read it again.
In regard to Sue's attendance?
Yeah, because I think as of today,
This is her second miss.
only her second, she wasn't here in March, I know. And was
She
she
was
here
only
in
appointed at
January?
a Board of
No, we didn't
Selectmen
meet in
meeting.
She wa-
February, right?
Didn't meet in February, but she wasn't appointed when
Yeah,
she was
Wally
at the
only
meeting.
appointed her at the Board of Selectmen meeting, and I can't remember the date in April.
Yes. So the
So
first
she
one
missed an
came
April
before
meeting.
she was appointed.
She was appointed the Monday before our Tuesday meeting, so she missed that April meeting.
She was appointed in April, so she missed the April meeting, and
And she
she's
misses
missing
the
this one,
May.
okay. Well, I think,
Hope she
I'll
makes
check
June.
that, and if in fact
She
it
can't
turns
control
out
her
that
work
there's
schedule,
a,
as I understand
there's
it.
a problem with missing 3, then I think, well, I'll let you know, Charles, and then you should send her some sort of a letter, so
She
she
can't,
knows.
her work schedule is rather curious.
I know, but it's Janet, I
I
can't
understand
change what the policy, and that's the fact.
3 misses,
I
you're
mean,
out.
Well, it's good if someone wants to participate, but,
Be here.
and we don't have other people clamoring to fill the seats, so,
Yeah.
But you still have to have, suppose it was a different kind of committee where there were people who wanted to get on, and I think,
Have
but
to
maybe,
enforce the
maybe I'm
rules.
wrong, I might have read it
well,
someplace else.
let's just hold on any action. Let's just see how the schedules comes together.
Okay.
Let's see, all right. So, let's talk a little bit about what I would call the Orleans Water Quality Advisory Panel. And I wanted to just bring to your attention that the different amounts of money that the panel had proposed to the Orleans Selectmen for spending, and I am assuming that the amount of money passed at Orleans Town Meeting last night, but I haven't read that in the paper. But basically, they were saying that of all of the wastewater activities between June and October, which is not a long period of time, they were saying that they could see themselves spending $691,000.
On R&D or what?
Well, let me come to that.
June and October of this
Bet-
year?
Between June and October, this was what went from the panel to the Board of Selectmen, which I believe was in their warrant,
Right.
or whatever it was. Okay. So, and they were saying $51,000, 500, for the, basically the traditional technology. And from my having attended those meetings, what they're talking about is engineered design of a wastewater treatment plant. And not so much perhaps they would still be gathering the information they would need to design the plant, not so much as they would actually be deciding where the walls and things like that would be. And they were saying that they could see themselves spending $431,000 on what they call non-traditional technologies. And that,
To install them?
well, that's that group of technologies, and I've got a little bit more information on that. And they were...
Now, I know what they are, but I mean to actually go ahead and put these non-traditional technologies in place.
Go-
Not studies or anything like that, to
Y-
actually
yes,
start forward with them.
Finish their planning and go to implementation as far as I could see it. Now, the next line here is they're saying 77,000 would be spent on monitoring, and then public engagement,
Monitoring water quality? or-
monitoring water quality, yeah.
Does that mean, because they hadn't answered Jane on whether or not they were going to
They're gonna
participate in
participate,
the water
right.
sampling.
There should be some money in there on $691,000.
Well,
So that-
77,000 monitoring, if they're monitoring water quality, I guess they're going to be taking samples. Well, I don't know. But that's going to be sampling in Northern Estuary?
Yes.
Well, basically, I'll pass this newspaper item to you, but
Well, if it doesn't say, it's.
basically, monitoring is 77,500, and obviously, okay, that's what it says. All right, and we're talking about water quality monitoring, and we're talking about getting samples and measurements out of the water when they say that. All right, so and then the last item here in that grouping is public engagement, financial modeling, regulation, and miscellaneous, 131,500 for that. All right, now when you get down into the actual non-traditionals, the shellfish aquifer, that's $170,000 for in Lonnie's Pond, Quonset Pond, and Town Cove, working with the existing shellfish growers. All right, then
That's a breakdown from the 431,
that,
right? Because you said 431 for non-traditional.
yes, yeah. Well, it's all under the 691.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we've already got, if you take your 51, I'm not a math whiz, but 51, 431, 77, and 131, that's got to be pretty close to 690, isn't it? 431, 531, 560. I mean, that's your 690 is in your first four numbers, and these must be how these other things break down.
Yes, I believe you're right. I haven't done that math that close, but
I didn't write down the 500s, but other than the 500s, it came out right.
okay. Well, but I just want, what my point here is that the permeable reactive barriers at Eldridge Park and the town landfill, they're showing that number is 221,000. And then they're also showing 40,000, which would be the floating wetlands technology. The reason I bring this up is that it documents progress. You know, they have gone through all of these and thought about them and say, yes, we think the idea is reasonable enough, and we're accepting the figure that our planning consultants are giving us in terms of what the cost would be. And for us here in Eastham, you know, our engineers studying this GHD have said that, well, yes, the concept of permeable reactive barriers for Salt Pond seems like it has some potential for being useful. And so, let's see, so at least 221,000 is on permeable reactive barriers is being spent down in Orleans, or that's the planning figure, so that's the number that we kind of have to have in the back of our heads. Anyways, I'm just, and also,
Masses they're covering.
also in discussing that, at town meeting, from the town floor, there was a questioning of,
140? Line item 140?
what is it, 140?
Yeah.
Yeah. The five-year capital plan shows $20 million in FY '22, and that's what the town, for managing for money, was stating. Now, from the town floor, there was a person that asked that that be modified because that information to support that number had not come out yet. I spoke contrary to that,
Yes, you did.
saying that, well, yes, it has. The Water Management Committee has been discussing those particular subjects for the past 12 months. We realize that it's a large amount of money going on there, but for those folks who weren't at town meeting, I just wanted to bring you up to date on that.
Yeah, except, Charles, I think the point that the speaker was making is that, yes, we all know there are going to be costs, but where did you get these particular numbers? Like, why did you pick whatever they had for FY18? I forget what the millions were. And so that basically, I think that is a good question, really, and I am not certain that we have yet focused on, and we probably won't till we have the watershed report and we have some sort of sense of where we're going, as to at what point we will start putting things in place and what those things will cost. So I think her point was probably technically correct, but since it's a capital plan and it's not an authorization to appropriate or spend any money, probably didn't make a lot of difference. It was just having, it's equivalent of, you know, when you don't get the right numbers in your brokerage account, you got a placeholder. And I think that's basically what that number is. It's not a number in the sense that anyone has sat down, like the computations we did for the water system and figuring out, you're gonna need this many feet of pipe, and this is what the pipe is gonna cost, and this is simply a placeholder in there to say, we're gonna need a lot of money within the next 5 years. And so here's a number.
That's right, the town moderator, both years, last year and the prior year, made exactly the same comment when that
Oh, he's
line-
almost as smart as I am.
Both times he said, this is a planning tool and not an authorization, because he addressed that line item in the prior year, too.
Yeah.
With exactly the same
I mean,
comments.
it's a,
Right.
so it's not a solid number, I don't think, by any means. And I don't know whether that's good or
no, no,
bad, because I have
no.
no idea whether it's going to go
Yeah.
up or go down.
Well, and yes, and my understanding
Well, they-
is we do have a
they did a
consulting
maximum.
contractor who is looking in that
Into
area.
that
And
figure.
that contractor
Fully
would be
funded.
expected to find rough estimates, if not refined estimates. Yeah, okay. All right.
That was gamesmanship.
The next item that I wanted to talk about here is that I want you to know that there's going to be a 2-day update conference on 208 planning, and that's the 23rd and 24th of June. So Cape Cod Commission is going to, basically be presenting to the public what the update.
And the registration isn't available till May 15th for that conference.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
so you can't go online and register for that yet.
No, it's
Who will
coming
be
up.
driving that day, Charles, you or I?
Well, we'll work that out, and
Yeah.
anyone else who would like to go.
Anybody else could join us, too. It's a
Yeah.
lovely conference. Really
So,
well.
okay. Let's see. A big piece of work that is ahead of us is to do the sampling in Nauset Marsh, such that we start with 6 new sites, stations to sample, plus the one site that's been sampled every year in Salt Pond. And now I do know that the training for that is scheduled for the 23rd of June.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it. I didn't even know she was
Yeah.
securing volunteers.
Y-
yet, but okay. And
Yeah.
where will that training take place then?
Well, I'm not sure, and right off the top of my head, I'm not sure whether that is coming from Sandy Bain. I think it may be, but anyways,
What, no, you're talking about the sampling for Norset Marsh?
no,
The
there's,
training for it.
there's a,
Yeah, but it's for the training for the sampling in Norset Marsh.
No, so
Yes,
that's where
yes,
it
it
is.
is.
That was basically Jane was talking
Yeah, that
about
was Jane.
that and talking about arranging the training.
Okay.
I don't know that Sandy is,
Participating in that.
I'm glad your memory is better than mine.
well, Sandy does the ponds,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I used to, mean, if she knew when the training would happen,
Yeah.
and she didn't.
Okay, well, the 23rd of June is the most recent date that has come to me. So I just wanted to call that to your
Okay.
attention. I have been asking folks to be samplers for that, because if you stop and think about it, if 2 persons are in a boat, that's 12 people. So that's 12 new folks that would have to go through that process. Plus, we would need the boat.
Do you anticipate it only being one test site that a couple would do on any one day, or could maybe we hit 2 or 3 of them?
Well, the way they've worked the thing out is the samples are drawn on the exact same time.
Time, yes.
All the
So
way
we need
down to
6 boats out there.
20-some sites, all the way down to Chatham.
Okay.
Now,
You mean for what, a rowboat?
Yeah.
Like with
Rowboat
that
or
holds
motorboat.
2 or 3 people? Oh, you can take a full-size,
well,
Yeah,
no.
this isn't a pond, this
No,
is.
as my understanding is, Jane would be speaking in more detail on the plans, but I just want to tell you what I know. Some of the sites are places that you could paddle to without too much difficulty. Other sites look as though they're quite a distance out into the sub-ponds, so you'd really only go there with a motorboat. I mean, it would be perhaps unsafe, or actually you wouldn't be able to get back in time to turn in the sample on the schedule, because the samples have to be back by 9 a.m. in the morning, turned in Orleans.
and what time is the sampling taken?
Well, about 8 o'clock.
8 a.m.?
Yeah, or we normally assemble.
So you have to get back in an hour. Best boat.
Do you have a boat?
I do, yeah. 2 of them.
Good, good.
I've got a 18-footer with a, fast one. And a ski
I'm
boat.
his partner, he's got a motor, I'm going with him.
And
You,
I also
no,
have
we're
a-
paddling with you, Charles.
I also have a 12-foot rowboat with a 2-horse motor.
Oh, that's good.
Excellent, excellent.
If somebody wanted to borrow that, I
Well,
could.
Just realized you volunteered your equipment.
The
yeah.
question is the dates. One thing I want to know is whether they'd be back from the hiking. Now it looks like that's possible.
Well, I don't know when the testing
No.
will start. The
Well,
training will be the 23rd.
Yeah,
I
the
know,
training
but
is the 23rd,
Yeah.
and
You're
the
good with that?
dates,
She said July and August when she was.
yeah,
Yeah.
the dates have been established
And one
as
in
well.
September, I think.
Yeah, 1 in September, 2 in August, 2 in July.
Do you know those dates?
They'll move around based on weather, trust me.
Oh,
I have the information with me.
but they have to all be done at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just pass them to you at the end of the meeting. I've got them in my book here. Okay.
Hurricane Bob in September, you know.
The, all right, so if we still kind of continue on wastewater here, we could talk a little bit about what we know about Tri-Town. We know that Eastham voted money for the design and demolition of the existing structures, since we, Brewster and Orleans, own a piece of that building. So the demolition cost was part of our responsibility to pay for
At Tri-Town.
at Tri-Town, yeah. And in my memory, that was voted, I've forgotten exactly what the numbers were, but Eastham has voted to contribute the appropriate amount of money for that. We know that on the 1st of June, they're going to stop receiving the
Affluent.
affluent. And the question is, well, what happens next? I attend the Tri-Town planning meetings, and in one of the more recent meetings, they would said, well, it may be that a commercial hauler would station a large tractor-trailer truck tank and would charge other commercial haulers to just put the septage in the tank, and as a savings in transportation costs, because then you only have one vehicle, and it would be, and they are accepting it still at Yarmouth, so the tanker would go to Yarmouth with maybe 4 or so, 5 individual batches from different haulers. And so that, on the other hand, I have not heard a large clamor as to the need, so it does appear that the different haulers are saying, well, if they're serving in our area, in the Eastham area, it would not be that hard for them to just drive it to Yarmouth themselves. Perhaps they would just charge the customer a larger fee for that. So while I'm on that subject, let me talk about what I know in terms of the county's plan. And let's see if I can get myself to the right. All right. The Cape Cod Commission has taken as a task a survey of the septage and sludge disposal needs for all of Barnstable County. And they are moving forward with that. They have an in-house engineer, in which it turns out to be AECom, already on contract, and that they are getting state of Massachusetts funds to help pay for that work. And so basically what it is, they've got to survey the need. Now, and I have a copy, I've seen a copy of the scope of work for that work going to AECom. But in addition to that, the Cape Cod Commission has put out a request for proposals and has on let's see, the basically they've stated it 2 ways. A request for proposal for the disposal of sludge and grit that would be in the septage, and a second proposal that would do sludge, grit, and transportation, sort of looking at the situation in 2 ways. And basically they're asking the commercial haulers to come back and make some statements as to how much they would charge for managing and doing that piece of work. If this was not happening, I'd be very uncomfortable in closing Tri-Town. But since I know this is going on, and basically we're coming up on kind of a generational end of plants, and a need for fresh information, fresh, accurate information as to what the entire need is across the Cape. So that's good news. That's going on, and eventually we'll get these reports.
There's little alternative to closing Tri-Town. It can't stay open without a renewal of its license.
Yes.
Do the upgrade work to renew the license would cost millions of dollars.
Right. Yeah. That's not
Sort of like
that's not the issue. That the issue is there some big surprise out there that we don't understand? And but this scope of work and this request for
No, I'm not saying this is
proposals.
the issue here, but you said whether or not you'd be comfortable with closing Tri-Town, but I'm saying,
Oh,
I don't think we
I
had
don't-
much of an alternative to closing Tri-Town. To
It's
spend millions of dollars when Orleans, that we would
It's
have,
not gonna do it.
Orleans would
Well-
have to, we'd have to participate in the bill, and then Orleans was gonna close it in 5 years anyway,
Right,
when they got their next thing up. So
right,
it was
that was
sort
a
of-
fi-
What did they gonna replace it with? What's Orleans planning to replace it with?
With this new treatment plant that they're
What are
putting
these
up.
talking about? Are we gonna be asked to be a partner in that? They want it just all to themselves?
They certainly want all of the direct sewerage to themselves. They're not, so far they're saying we can't hook up, to the extent we do sewer, if we do, we cannot, they are not a resource for us to transport the sewage to, through the pipes. And they're talking about taking septage from us and other towns.
Thanks.
But that's
Different.
implicated in this Cape Cod Commission plan, because with this Cape Cod Commission survey is part of an initiative that they began a couple of months ago with the idea that maybe they should somehow facilitate the establishment of 4 treatment facilities across the Cape, so that there would be, they'd be geographically scattered based on what the need is.
And
So-
that would be for pumping?
No, that
Not
would be for
tanks.
accepting
From a truck.
septic that's been,
Trucks,
I mean,
okay.
the big issue will remain, assuming a town has to sewer, okay, your sewer pipes have to go someplace.
Well,
And that's where we're right now. We're not even between the rock and the hard place because there's no place for us to go to. There is nothing, see what GHD comes back with, but there's nothing on the horizon for a treatment plant for sewerage from Eastham. So, because there's nothing going to be north of us that would be practical to get to. So we have to figure out if in fact we are sewering, and that'll probably be in this with, all these, in fact, the technical memos, the first 2, if you read them, talk about, continuing to cooperate with Orleans with a view to, they don't exactly say with a view to accepting our sewage. Basically, that's what they're talking about in the context of the whole thing. And we're more than willing to cooperate, but they have so far indicated no interest, because they would have to build a bigger plant, and it would be more expensive. And then they had the discharge issue. Where do they discharge the effluent from taking more sewerage? And they're getting a lot of resistance to that, both in cost and in the discharge from Orleans residents. So, but they also, my understanding was that their thinking in building the sewerage plant to begin with was that by taking septage from towns like us, they would help pay their operating cost. But if in fact the Cape Cod Commission comes along and builds these 4 plants, and we go to one of those, what would be the appropriate plan for us, and they don't get our septage, and they don't get the septage of other towns, and so how that affects all their, estimates and calculations as to what they can afford, I don't know, but I think there's just an awful lot of balls in the air.
Charles, when you refer to the big surprise out there, are you referring to that Yarmouth has a maximum amount of sewage that they can treat over there? And Orleans already published in the Cape Cod Times that they create 2 million gallons approximately a year. And I went to our health department and added up all the slips from the last year and found that we produce about 1.5 million here in Eastham. I don't know, and I don't know what Brewster produces. If all 3 towns are anticipating sending it to the Yarmouth plant, it's going to go have to a little further than the Yarmouth plant.
Yeah, no,
Orleans has never thought about going to Yarmouth.
Where are they going to
Brewster
take
has.
their 2 millions?
Well, they'll do it themselves. Their treatment plant will include septage treatment.
But I mean, on June 1st, their plant's closed.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, but, I see what
Yeah,
you're saying
for
from the
5
trucking
years.
guy. No,
Yeah.
some of it's
Some
gonna
of it.
have to be trucked a lot further.
To Springfield.
Some of it's gonna have to be trucked a lot further away.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess maybe,
Nobody's really talked about this. It's interesting.
well, the rates are going up.
Oh, yes.
but no, I mean, how we deal with septage is very much part of the discussion of how do we improve water quality on the Cape, you know, basically coming from septage, too much nitrate from septage. So, yes, Adele, your review, in summary, is very good. It matches what I hear them say at the Tri-Town meetings that they'll hold once a month. And we got a meeting, I guess tomorrow by exception. It's normally on Thursday. And that's actually the town manager from Brewster, the town manager from Orleans attends, and Martin McDonald is the representative from Eastham. I don't know, maybe you have heard me say this before, is that to me, with the Massachusetts Estuary program requirements on Eastham to reduce the amount of nitrate coming from our septic systems, and particularly in that area on the west side of Town Cove and on the east side of Route 6, north of the Rotary. I do not know if it fits the density requirements that the engineers need to make a recommendation that a sewering would be a reasonable way to go. If the buildings are too far apart, that basically they have the numbers from previous engineering works to say, no, you end up spending too much on pipe and you end up with too big a cost on pipe. But on the other hand, if the buildings are close enough and all that works out, you would say, well, there's a possibility that Eastham would really like to engage Orleans in helping us out dealing with that amount of septage and sending it to the plant, because the plan in Orleans is to do the village, which basically means that Route 6A as it runs down through town. Now, and of course Orleans is still discussing how big the footprint is for the village, because they, but Orleans has, so they're still discussing that, and that's yet to come. They have decided to put in a smaller plant, a cluster plant, that deals with Meeting House Pond, the pond itself's water quality. And when those numbers that I quoted to you for planning purposes, they're spending money in that direction now. And they're working on the design and refining their thoughts. So
Again, also with that, if you've ever talked to the Carters, a few of their calls come in on an emergency basis, you know, when a septic floods, they respond at nighttime, and the Carters are very good about that because they don't want to create an environmental catastrophe. They'll come out at any hour and work and pump those tanks. If they have no place to take the septic, or if their trucks are already filled to capacity, I don't know what we're doing as a town, Eastham here, and I haven't had a chance, Jane isn't here, to ask what do we do in a situation like that? Can we move those summer residents to another spot, or do we continue to let that property operate with basically an overflowing septic system? I'm concerned about these things, Charles, and I don't really know how or where we address them.
Board of Health issue.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
know
becomes-
whose it is, but I would like to help them think.
Well,
about
I
it.
guess I would take the question to the Board of Health and ask them, they have
Okay.
their meetings, I'm certain you can ask a question.
Yep.
I'd ask them, do they have any planning for this?
Well, I can tell you, the serving the need of treating sewer effluent on the Cape is there's a little bit of a entrepreneurial spirit among the towns. There have been some towns that have stepped up and say, hey, we could build a plant that serves us, and the plant would actually be paid for by other folks that we allow to come and be here. So, and I just by listening to the professionals who are involved in the business talk, they talk about Yarmouth, and as I understand it, the Tri-Town manager and the Yarmouth manager work close together in just kind of keeping their eye on what the need is and what they have to do. I have heard them say that there are some times when the plants actually welcome septage because they need the
Material to work
food
with.
for the microorganisms to live on in a particular period of time when that need is not getting satisfied by the flow that's otherwise coming in. So it really is almost a day-by-day
Basis or-
managed plan that they carry out. I've read in the paper that we have something at Chatham, and I guess I understand that they do receive some sewage from Yarmouth, if my memory stands right. But I also hear them talking about, well, we could send a truck to Plymouth, or we could send a truck to Fall River, and even further. So,
If I could, I think this is all speculative, but we sort of, a lot of us really don't know much about, maybe it'll be this. And Mike's question was a very specific one of, suppose somebody's
Tank fills at 10
septic
p.m.
system is overflowing up on the ground, and because of the lack of a septic treatment plant, the haulers, what you call them, the carters,
Yeah.
don't have room to take this in and get rid of it. So who would address that? I think it's the Board of Health, and I think it's a good question. I think you should take it to the Board of Health and ask them what their thinking is about this, and find out, maybe if they don't have a plan,
I
they
always
would
like-
begin to think about
I always like to bring the problem and a possible solution to it.
Yeah,
I only
yeah.
know the problem, I was hoping maybe there was some
Yeah,
collective
well, but I
idea.
mean,
It happens all the time, and just a couple hours later, it seeps in.
No, no, we don't want-
Nobody takes a shower until the septic comes.
We don't want that.
But I guess it could be worse if the trucks are in fact filled up, but they can't take any more, and, no. So, but if they haven't thought about it, I guess they should.
yeah.
Maybe there's some sort of emergency service, I don't know.
Well, yes, I'm corrected by Adele here. What I have said just now is basically what I have heard attending the meetings. And I say it here because I think it's helpful to kind of build a framework of what is known and what isn't known. And let's just leave it at that. Let's see, some of the other topics, I think we're actually making marvelous progress here. I can tell you that the season is late. It's been unusually cold, so the herring counts that are going on at Bridge Pond and the Herring Pond show few fish coming in.
They already went through. They
Yeah,
went through
so-
months ago.
Really?
So when we
Yeah.
had the warming?
Yeah.
Tell
so
me, I don't know.
They were going through in February and March.
Oh,
The seagulls were eating
Yeah, there was a lot of them. They already went through.
before we started to count. Yeah.
okay, yeah, I mean, okay. The freshwater pond sampling, that, as I understand, it's starting to move. Basically, there is a need on the ponds that only get sampled in spring and in fall to get in the spring sampling. However, because of the cool weather, the ponds have not sort of started to grow algae. They're still sort of in the cool temperature winter situation. So that's kind of where we are on that. I'm on the subject of the aquatic plant survey for Minister Schoolhouse Pond. I did see an email from Jane Crowley, who had been, and the recipient was the aquatic consultants up in the Worcester area. So I know she is attempting to have them discuss with her what type of inventory would be done for Minister Schoolhouse that then would provide the basis for, we were wondering if we could do some manual harvesting of aquatic plant material. So I know she's,
She's contacted them, but she hasn't gotten a response from them as to when they'll come down and look.
yes, that's a fair way of saying it. Essentially, they're going to be on the Cape doing other work, and she wants to join in on their schedule for that day. In terms of stormwater drainage on Millminster Schoolhouse Pond, we're still basically in a waiting time for a specific design to be prepared that would then go to the Conservation Commission for consideration. So, a couple other comments here.
Neil is doing that design himself, or he's being done outside?
I don't know if he's going
Last
out,
month
I
you
don't know
said-
if he's going to go outside or do it himself. But basically, without the design, it can't be discussed by the conservation folks, so that's where it's sitting. I see that one item up there, a remote participation in meetings not yet allowed. That's a true statement, if in case of any of you were asking. I have been to some meetings where in other towns where that's starting to happen. In other words, a person sort of comes in on a video presentation and participates in the meeting from a distant site. And I get so that's but we have that has not been adopted by the Board of Selectmen for any application for the town of Eastham. So, I think I've covered all of the, I know what I want to do. Normally Jane would talk a little bit about the municipal water construction schedule. And I'd call your attention to on the, I guess it's the 29th of April, the coming out of the town of Eastham, Paul Lagg's office is an update of the construction plans going forward for the next 6 months or more. It's a 5 or 7 item list. It's very complete. But I would start with the fact that I don't know if it's happened yet, but in lifting the bowl onto the wastewater, onto the water tank.
Last time I drove
It's
by a
on
couple.
now.
It
It's
is?
on?
Oh, when
Yeah.
did it go up, yesterday?
No, 3 days ago, I think it
3
was.
days
'Cause,
ago?
yeah, Sheila announced it at the Board of Selectmen meeting and said, go watch it go up from 7:30. It was Thursday, because it was at the Wednesday Board of Selectmen work session. She said, please all come between 7:30 and 11:30 and watch the bowl go up.
Right,
Wish
yeah.
they'd known.
So that's when it went up.
It's like
No,
I
it
know
wouldn't
we
have
had
made a
3 or 4
difference. You were-
times to see what was gonna
Only the
happen.
wind could have knocked it down. She didn't
I
care.
live right near it too, so when I go down my road, I can
What
see it.
street you on?
I live on Oak Leaf Road.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm
The public
two
was
over.
not invited to watch, so even
What
if
do you
you'd
call
known,
it? Queen Anne.
Yeah.
Right.
even if you'd known, Scott, you couldn't have gone. You could have watched from the road, but that's as close as you could get. The public
Oh.
was not invited because of liability,
The
in case anything
Oh,
happened.
so first they said, come and watch, and then they said,
Yeah, no, the
well,
latest thing
watch
was,
from a
because
window
I
down.
looked to see, but they said no. It was just, the officials that they had invited and that sort
they
of.
didn't mean to go inside the barrier.
Yeah.
Because if
yeah.
you're standing out there on that dirt road that goes back
Well,
to the sand and gravel
yeah,
pit,
I'm
that's
not
kind of
certain.
public.
Yeah, I guess it's a
Yeah.
public
But that's still
road.
not, well, that is actually
From
the access to
sand
the
and
business.
gravel. I mean,
What?
it's a stump dump.
Yes,
Well, there's a couple of
access to the
things in there.
stump dump.
There's two operations in there. One is
Right.
the
Yeah, one's the
rooster.
gravel and the other is the stump dump, so it
Yeah.
has to be public.
Yeah, and then the sign at the front says, public welcome, to go back into
Yeah.
them, not to go to
But it's very
them.
good for birding out there.
Pardon me?
It's very good for birding.
Yes, I completely.
Baltimore Orioles were out today. I put my oranges out. I got a
I-
pair of
mine
them
are,
today.
I
They
got
were
one today
feeding
too.
and having
They
fun
were
together.
at Audubon last week.
So well, okay, good. I appreciate that
Time-lapse
information.
video on the website if you want to watch it.
Oh.
In terms of the wells, they're in the process of putting in the small buildings, and they expect the startup of the wells is scheduled for this summer. All right. In terms of the landfill area, I guess they've had contracts 3 and 4 working on that, and the contractors have put in all of the mains and all of the hydrants in both of those cases. And then they would be proceeding with putting in what they call curb stops. And to me, that has to do with connecting the main line to a place where the property owner could then connect to it.
The curb stop is where the property owner hooks up. I have a curb stop in front of my house. That is where you make your connection. They put in the curb stop and bring a little bit of, it's just funny, they call it a pipe, but it's a flexible material. They bring it to the place on your property where you have designated you want it to be. In other words, they don't leave it. Oh, I guess technically mine is still in the right of way, yeah, but it's in the place. You've asked before, have an opportunity to tell them where you want the curb stop to be, depending upon where you have to have the pipe enter your house. And they then put the curb stop where you have asked for it to be, which mine is where I asked for it to be. And that is, and they have a little bit of flexible thing.
Protruding up through
Curb
the
stop
ground.
itself is this little thing sitting down here with a little blue cap on it. And then they have this flexible piece of pipe sticking up. And that's where it is. Now those, it's true that in a lot of areas they are just putting them in now, but Robert B. Auer, who's the guy who did contract, I never get the numbers right, yeah, contract 5, which is the Route 6 North contract, he put the curb stops in as he went. So the mains that have been put down along Route 6 North, that whole contract, they have their curb stops already. So.
Yeah, and the
On Nauset Road, they were just chopping up the holes in the pavement again.
Yeah. Is that this
Today,
morning?
yesterday, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Was that these curb stops?
North-
They're out in the middle of the road.
It's
No,
over there.
Curb
in
stops
North-
just
There's
a
still
shut
holes right
off
now.
outside
Yeah,
your
yeah.
house where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
turn it on
Yeah.
and shut it off.
The big things are where they go across the road.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
It's like what they have on Governor Prince.
I think they're gonna finally fix
On
it.
the west side, at Governor Prince, on the west side of 6, you'll see there's a big square that's been paved over, and there's a corresponding square on the other side of 6 on Governor Prince. That's because the pipes are coming down the west side of 6,
What side?
but there are places where they have to get across to the other side.
Yeah, for,
And the way they do
Fire
that
walls.
is they,
right.
I forget, they told us about it.
the
when they did
directional
the one-
drilling.
Yeah, they do the directional drilling under the road and then come up, put the thing in on the other side for them to then connect the other pipes to. It's quite a, and I didn't realize, I realized this today. Normally everything's out there in the road. And because I live on Kingsbury and I come out every morning and I see all this, the barrels and everything, and I'm thinking, but they're not doing anything in the road. I finally looked up. There's a big cemetery on the south side of Kingsbury as you come up, and that's all public land there. I look up and I realize, oh my goodness, all of that land has new loam on it, which is what they're doing. When they put in your curb stop, so now I have grass I'm gonna have to mow. I don't have any grass on the, when they put in the curb stop, they come back, they put down loam, and then they come back and they sprinkle it with grass seed. So even us Cape Cod lawners get a little bit of grass seed. They don't ask about it. But anyway, I realized that that area up there is all full of loam. So apparently what they did is they ran the pipe there instead of bringing it out in the road. And then, as you recall, I mean, you may not be that familiar with it, but as you go down, as you come out of Kingsbury and then go down towards Locust, there's a road, and there are houses back in there, built in the last 10 years or so by my memory, so that this pipe goes there, and then they go back into those houses from there. So, but they've got one little stretch between there and where Nauset comes out, and I guess it's Locust on the other side. It's clearly been dug up, it's open, and I think the pipes are in there, but it's not paved, so I don't know. And I'm hoping they get to it quickly, because I'd like them to get rid of the barrels, but I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on there.
The,
Mostly for visual safety, you pull out there and those ballasts just for a second.
yeah.
You think it's all clear, and all of a sudden there's a car on top of you.
Well, and before that, it was
There are
even
vision
worse.
impairment.
Somebody apparently thought it was smart to put a cone so that if you wanted to turn in or turn out, you'd have to go around this cone. Well, of course, the cone kept moving, so it was getting kind of dicey to make a left turn into Kingsbury from Route 6. And just about the time we got fed up and were ready to call the police and say, what is that cone doing there? The cone disappeared. So I guess they decided it was not a
Stuck
good
under somebody's
idea.
car.
Yeah.
A lot of them come into the landfill that way when I'm campaigning. They got those cones stuck under the cars.
So up there in the landfill area, the fact that the most recent information coming from the town says that they're now doing installation of curb stops in that area, that has to happen before there's any hookup to
Yes.
any of the houses, so that gives you some idea of how far off in the landfill area the actual connections to the houses would be. And that's, and they're saying, well, there wouldn't be water to deliver until, as they say, they're doing the wells work in the summer.
They don't expect water to flow before October.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long to get the curb stops in. There's no water anyway until after the summer, because they do the testing this summer of what they have in place.
So, let's see, but they do say that there is the full lane restoration on Route 6.
Yeah.
That would be this fall or next spring. So we have to live with the bumps for that amount of time. I guess there's contracts 7 and 8, and they are the residential roads on the west side of Route 6. So, just to name a few, Aspinet, Massoyet Road, Sunken Hollow. Construction there is to begin before Memorial Day, and the same thing for further south with Governor Prince and Kingsbury, Herringbrook and Bridge Road and that kind of thing. So, and that, as I say, it was the 29th of April where they sent out an email that had that little flyer in there for the details. And so, with that,
So, I'll make one pitch yet again. You can also find it on the Eastham Municipal Water Project webpage. If you click on latest news, it'll take you to the 2 latest emails. The May 5th one, which is about raising the water tank up, and this April 29th one that has it all. And it's a good way for everybody to stay up to date and to know what's happening. Just if you don't want to sign up for the emails, they get these things out about once a week, so just once a week, go onto the webpage, click on latest news, and know what's happening. And
Or go get on your bicycle and look at it in person.
well, you wouldn't know what they're planning to do next
No,
week,
that's
because they
true.
tell you what they're going to do next week and where they'll be. And that was certain. I wasn't around, but it was handy for my neighbors when they said
Minutes?
when they were coming.
so Adele, can you lead us through the minutes for the previous meeting?
Well, I don't know how to lead anyone through. I guess I would suggest that they read them.
All right.
That's why
Did we do all this?
I don't want to do dramatic readings. So that's why I ran them out the way I did. You have it? Yeah. In large type and with a lot of spacing in between, so hopefully they'd be fairly easy to read. Sorry, but it's been a very busy time in many respects. I've been to Arkansas, I've been to New York City.
You're kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
Lucky you.
Yeah, well, actually, Arkansas was beautiful, but,
Where did you go then?
well, unfortunately, I had a nephew who died, so we went out to his memorial service. We went to Northwest Arkansas,
Northwest, yeah.
which is really the home
Fort
of
Smith.
Bentonville. The airport is actually in Bentonville, Arkansas, but they call it Northwest Arkansas. It's Walmart country, the Bentonville.
I'm
that
asking
area.
Fort Smith.
I don't know anything about Fort Smith.
Oh.
I was in Bentonville. My nephew had lived in Fayetteville, and then we went to the university, which I guess is also in Fayetteville, but a very different part of Fayetteville. I probably
My mother was
passed
there.
through it. I probably passed through it.
Whoa, you don't want to tap those. I move we accept the minutes as presented.
So is there a second?
And a second.
And, all right, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand, so 6-0. The,
Oh, you've just been dying to do that, haven't you, Jim? I'm glad to see an active participant. You used the non-broken arm.
But
No,
while
they're both broken.
all
While
right,
we were talking, I went and looked online in the Cape Cod Times, because I wanted to see if they had said anything about this, what you reported on the $690,000. That wasn't in the article, so maybe it just happened late at night, I don't know.
Yep.
But what I did see was interesting, is town meeting approved $336,000 to design plans for dredging in Nauset Estuary. So they're clearly going ahead if they're spending $336,000. Now, that's not the inlet,
No,
that's what they call the backside.
backside, right.
yeah.
So where the boaters come in and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you go past the.
Yeah. so
Wonder how long that'll last.
Well,
I'll
that's.
tell you, just before the meeting, I went over there, was sitting there watching it, and there was 3 boats shooting right out of there from the backside out into the ocean. So they're using it,
Yeah,
and that was pretty low tide. We were still going out there.
yeah, but a couple of those boats are jet drives.
I
The
saw
ones
how-
that have
yeah.
the propellers are now, they moor right out by there. They can't get,
They can't get through.
yeah.
I see. Well, I did include a map of our,
Yeah.
the groundwaters. And the reason I did that is that we've got some new members, a newer member here, and I thought it might help in visualizing how the water here on the east side of Route 6 above the Rotary goes into Town Cove. You know, that's basically what you read from this. You also can pick up other information other places, but to me, it's meaningful. It helps me understand where the water's going and what needs to, where the possible needs would be. All right, so I think I have one final yes. Janet,
I got that one.
I came
Well, I
across
got
the
this one,
distribution
Rossford,
list
yeah. Oh,
that
this is
an Orleans water group uses for their renter information brochure. And it's, if I could, I would just pass it to you. I don't know if there's anything on there that gives you some ideas, but it would,
Well, I
Kind of end
dealt
the
with
whole
just
issue
Eastham, and the only one that I didn't do
Guys driving down. 'cause it's
was
so chunky there.
Meadowmarsh,
It looks like
because
the
whenever
stuff
I
that
went
was-
by there, there were never any
And
cars.
it's part of Eastham, but they want to drive on, they
And I
can't
don't know
get
if they
there
have
now
a
anyhow.
local business really.
So the issue solved
They
itself.
used to, I don't know anymore.
yeah.
that's-
No,
There's
that's,
also, what's the, is that Hopper that's all the way up there now
Yeah.
by Nauset, the
Yes.
traffic light at
Yeah,
Nauset?
at-
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I
Hopper's
didn't
just
know
for
what they were.
Viking
what they were
Shores,
called.
I went there, they do, that's the one that is, I didn't talk to the rental agent, I got, only
Just
talked
above
to the debt,
Boyd's.
yes. And she called back to find out how many brochures, and that's where the number 800 came from.
Okay.
The other place was much more welcoming, maybe I should say.
so, okay,
But I
well,
think that was my
yeah, that's not,
impression last year.
that's not to say that the distribution that you've come up with does have any problems with it, but I just thought if you saw a list of someone else that might kind of confirm what your thoughts were. So, you know, I would certainly entertain a
A motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
You have it.
You got it.
Okay. So,
Motion to adjourn.
discussion, all those in favor? Aye, raise your right
Aye.
hand, 6-0.
So I can go back.
Good
and
for
start
us.
some business.